Hello viewers. Welcome to Divine Revelation. My name is David, and I share powerful stories of people who have seen the other side. People who have died, entered a coma, or had near-death experiences. If you enjoy these videos, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you won't miss our new videos. Your support helps us grow, and we truly appreciate it. My name is Emily, and I'm a famous singer loved by many. I had been invited to perform at a big event, and I spent weeks preparing, making sure everything was just right. Finally, the day arrived. I walked onto the stage in a stunning outfit, the crowd cheered, and I felt ready. Before I started singing, I grabbed the microphone and said, "Lucifer is my father. Satan is my inspiration. That is why I sold my soul to the devil." Some people clapped, but others looked shocked. Then I performed my song. The crowd cheered loudly as I finished. But as I walked off the stage, something terrible happened. I suddenly collapsed and fell to the ground. The crowd went silent. Many were scared, and some wondered if my words had anything to do with what had just happened. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, or maybe I was just more tired than usual. As I reached the stairs, my foot landed wrong. Before I could catch myself, I was falling. I hit my head hard against the steps. Pain exploded in my skull. My vision blurred, and the world around me spun. I wanted to get up, to shake it off, but my body wouldn't move. I could hear voices, muffled at first, then getting clearer. People were gathering around me. Someone pressed something against my head. I guessed it was to stop the bleeding. I wanted to tell them I was okay, but my mouth wouldn't work. My vision darkened. The last thing I heard was someone shouting, "Call an ambulance." Then, everything went black. I don't know how long I was out, but suddenly, I wasn't on the at-sea-ness anymore. I was floating. I looked down and saw myself lying there, motionless. A group of people stood around me. Someone was pressing on my chest, trying to bring me back. Others looked on, panicked and worried. But I felt no pain, no fear, just a strange calm. It was as if I was just watching a scene from above, disconnected from it all. Then, something changed. The scene below started to fade. The colors drained away. A heavy feeling settled over me, like I was being pulled away by a force unknown to me. And then, in an instant, everything around me turned to darkness. I landed in a place that filled me with pure dread. The air was thick and heavy. The heat was much like fire, and the screams. They were everywhere. Voices crying out in pain, in fear, in hopelessness. A sudden awareness entered me. I knew where I was. I was in hell. Around me, people were suffering in ways too horrible to describe. Shadows moved between them, dark creatures with scary eyes. Some cracked whips that burned like fire. Others carried chains, dragging souls deeper into the bottomless pit. The worst part? Each soul seemed to suffer in a way that matched how they had lived. It was as if their own choices had created their punishment. I was drawn to a particular place. A sign stood above it. This place was meant for celebrated people. People who had fame and greatly influenced others in their lifetime. I stepped forward, and that's when I saw them clearly. But these weren't just any people. I recognized them. They were celebrities, famous singers, actors, influencers. People I had admired. People the world had worshipped. But now, they were trapped in endless torments. I saw a man who had been a famous singer. His voice had once brought crowds to tears, filling stadiums with adoration. But now, every time he opened his mouth, fire poured out, searing his throat, charring his lips. He tried to sing, but instead of melody, there was agony. The very gift he had misused now tortured him. And as if that torment wasn't enough, shadowy figures surrounded him, whispering his own lyrics back at him, but twisted, mocking, laced with the very lies he had once spread. He clutched his head, screaming, but his own voice only brought more flames. Not far from him, a woman who had been a powerful leader in her lifetime sat on a throne of spikes. Every time she moved, the spikes burrowed deeper into her flesh. She gasped, trying to rise, but invisible chains yanked her back down, forcing her to sit in her suffering. Around her, demons bowed in mockery, pretending to serve her. They addressed her with fake reverence, calling her queen, ruler, goddess. But then, in the next breath, they burst into cruel laughter, shredding her robes, spitting upon her, dragging their claws down her skin. I was shown another famous celebrity the world greatly celebrated. I am careful to mention names because this video is going far. Some family members may be offended, which is not the intent of the message. He was writhing in the black, bubbling pool, his arms thrashing, his screams lost in the suffocating air. The ink clung to his body like liquid tar, pulling him deeper into its suffocating grip. It wasn't just a pit. It was alive. His tattoos, once symbols of power, rebellion, and self-expression, began to shift. The ink beneath his skin churned as if awakened by some unseen force. His body art peeled away in long, twisting tendrils, unraveling like living vines, slithering and wrapping around his limbs. They pulsed, black veins of torment, tightening like constricting serpents. The images, once carefully inked into his flesh, were now the things that torments him. A dragon on his back coiled around his spine, its fiery breath burning into his bones. A woman's face, tattooed over his chest, opened her mouth and began to scream, a piercing, soul-wrenching wail that shattered the stagnant air. The inked eyes of skulls, demons, and beasts blinked and twitched, their mouths gnashing, their claws raking through his skin. He roared in agony, trying to rip them off, but the more he struggled, the tighter they gripped. They were sinking deeper, drinking from his pain. The ink slithered into his veins, merging with his blood, seeping through every pore. He gasped, choking as his skin turned black, his veins darkening, his body becoming one with the endless pain. A monstrous, ink-covered hand rose from the pit, gripping his leg. Another wrapped around his throat. The ink was dragging him under. I saw a woman. She stood frozen in the center of them all, mirrors, stretching in every direction, endless and unbroken. There was no door, no way out, only her reflection staring back. At first, she lifted her chin, gazing into the glass with the confidence she had carried in life. She had been adored, worshipped even. Her face had graced billboards, magazines, movie screens. She had spent years making herself perfect, endless beauty treatments, cameras capturing her every move, the world hanging on her image. But then, something changed. Her reflection twitched. The flawless skin she had once cherished began to crack like old paint. A small wrinkle appeared near her eye, then another. Her lips sagged. The glow of youth drained from her face like color washing out of a dying flower. She stumbled back, her breath quickening. No, but the mirrors showed everything. Her reflection began to melt. Her skin sagged, sliding down her face in rotting folds. Her cheekbones sharpened, not with beauty, but with decay, her flesh peeling back to reveal raw, gray bone beneath. She shrieked and covered her face with shaking hands, but the moment her fingers touched her skin, she felt it. Soft, rotted. What? Her hands were decaying too. A horrified gasp escaped her lips as she pulled them away. Chunks of flesh clung to her fingertips, blackened and oozing. Maggots wriggled from beneath her nails, crawling across her hands. The stench of rot filled the air. She spun, desperate, searching for an escape, but the mirrors only multiplied, reflecting her horror from every angle. There was nowhere to hide. And then they began to laugh. Her own reflections twisted, their mouths curling into cruel, mocking smiles. The sound of laughter filled the space, growing louder, crueler, unbearable. Her breath came in ragged sobs. She pressed her hands against her head, squeezing her eyes shut. Father, show me mercy, but it's late. And there were so many others. Each one suffering, each one trapped, paying for the life they had lived. I wanted to run. The heat, the screams, the overwhelming darkness, it was too much. My heart pounded as I turned to Jesus. I knew the life I had lived. I knew the things I had done. I had worshipped Satan. I had mocked God. Tears blurred my vision. I wanted to plead for mercy, to say that I didn't know. But deep inside, I realized the truth. I had known. I had heard people talk about Jesus. I had seen the warnings. But I ignored them. I thought my career, my success, my pleasures were more important. I never thought about eternity. And now, standing in this place of horror, I knew. Jesus revealed the truth to me. Every person I saw here had chosen this destiny. They had been admired on earth. They had everything. But they lived only for themselves. They chased fame, money, and pleasure, rejecting God, and now they were here. Then, everything faded. A force guided me back to my physical body. I opened my eyes and saw blurry faces above me. People were screaming my name. Someone was shaking me, crying, "Vanessa, wake up. Somebody call an ambulance." But I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. My whole body was weak. I had been unresponsive for over 19 minutes. But I was back. This life is temporary. The things we chase, money, fame, power, none of it matters in the end. The choices we make now shape what happens next. Please seek the truth. Turn away from the distractions of this world before it's too late. Seek God with all your heart. Because one day, we will all have to face what comes next. Because I promise you, hell is real. And I assure you that you don't want to go there. May God bless you.